In 2007, the DCSF carried out a major piece of qualitative research on pupil progression, asking Key Stage 2 and 3 pupils who were not achieving their potential what they thought was holding them back.
Mainly, they are pupils who are well behaved, they're perfectly ordinary pupils, they have good skills, but they don't get the point of education. They feel that education is something that's done to them and not something that they do for themselves.
In this programme, we look at what the research revealed about those pupils who, despite getting level 4 in English at the end of Key Stage 2, failed to progress to level 5 by the end of Key Stage 3. What's slowing their progress and what can be done to help them? DCSF advisor Sue Phillips was part of the research team and talked to children nationally to identify common characteristics.
They knew that they'd achieved level 4 at the end of Key Stage 2, but were also acutely aware that they may not reach level 5 at the end of Key Stage 3. They didn't see themselves as being good at English and were starting to develop low self-esteem within the lessons.
Alright, for today's lesson, we're going to be doing descriptive writing.
Little Ilford School in East London took part in the DCSF research. With high levels of English as an additional language, literacy is their #1 focus across the school.
In terms of the needs of the students, one of the key barriers that's been in the way of their success has been literacy. And recognising that in terms of the GCSE results, realising that unless we remove those barriers early on, they will be students who achieve U's, G's and F's. Therefore, we were happy to be involved in the research because it enabled us to take a microscopic view of particular groups of students and what the barriers are to their progress.
If I'm not that interested, don't really I start to lose my concentration, and then I don't really listen a lot, and then I get the work wrong.
The pupils that entered Key Stage 3 at level 4 but were at risk of not achieving level 5 shared some interesting characteristics. They were bright and bubbly and keen to talk to us. However, at times they struggled to articulate their strengths and weaknesses in English. They often talked about their work being boring, and when we unpicked what that meant by boring, it was because they didn't feel challenged in what they were doing.
The crumbliest, flakiest ever. What am I describing? More hands. What am I describing, Nizamul? Chocolate bar, do we agree?
They need active, engaging and exciting stimulus to work with. So, for example, visual, auditory, kinesthetic learning practices are innate in our classrooms.
Anything else? Omar, what do you think?
Mixed flavour of crisps.
And we expect to see the students having a variety of learning experiences to keep them stimulated, to keep them focused, but also to keep them wanting to do more.
Is she tall, short, medium?
She's tall.
Slim? No?
Yeah, she's slim.
She is?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Beautiful eye colour.
Beautiful eye colour. What eye colour has she got?
Kind of green, kind of hazelish.
Hazel. Okay.
Sometimes, you know, if the teacher says that's good work, you just feel happy inside and you just want to carry on with your work. You don't want to sit there messing around.
It's like you've got the ideas, yeah? You've got the ideas to write, yeah? So you just start to write. But when you get into the story and then when you finish the story at the end and then you read it again, you're like, I should have planned it first.
The pupils were often described by their teachers as having something chaotic about them. They were disorganised in the way in which they planned their work. Many of them would rather not plan for writing, but to complete a piece of writing and then view it as finished rather than edit, redraft, or even compare it alongside any kind of plan.
When they were playing derby, he scored around about 3 goals. Most of the goals that he scored, he probably knew with his head.
One of the key characteristics that we've noted, particularly with some of our boys, is that verbally they're very articulate. They're very keen to contribute. However, when it comes to actually organising those thoughts and putting them into text and into writing, that's where we recognise that that is a characteristic and a barrier to their progress.
Why do we need to plan? Why do we need to planned as what? So you know what you're going to write. So you know what you're going to write?
Sometimes I decide not to plan a piece of writing because it takes longer. It takes a bit longer, it takes a bit of time to plan, and then when you're writing your story, you've got less time to write it.
Show of hands if you like planning. All right, put your hands down. Show of hands if you don't like planning. Fair enough. We realized that students had a bit of an issue with planning after looking at past exam scripts for SATs, and that's why planning is so vital. So we have writing skeletons for both Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. Students use this to plan their work.
You see the piano, the man could be playing the piano because he's angry about something.
How do you think he would press each key on the piano? If he's so angry, how would he press it?
Pressure and let it echo.
Okay, so we would hear an echo. What about the sounds? Would it be really loud or would it be soft?
It'd be vibrating.
Quiet. So it would be loud.
First of all, I like planning because it gives me like an image in my head, yeah, like of what am I gonna write, and then I get to think about it before I write it. So as I write it, I won't like miss all those punctuations and the filling gaps, and I'll have enough time to do everything.
When I first came to year 7, the one that I was really struggling on was writing, because I was missing some words like punctuations and stuff like that.
The expectation is good learning and teaching. However, we know for some students, even from the time they join us from year 6, that they have particular barriers to their learning. They have some of these characteristics already. So students who are on level 3 will see the literacy progress units, where they work in small groups. They have structured work that's very sequential, that then also gets transferred, particularly into their English lessons, but also across other text-based lessons.
What do you know about paragraph? Let's see. Niaz?
It's a couple of sentences which joined together, and it would be...
Some level 4 pupils are actually level 3 writers or readers and will benefit from interventions like the LPU.
Can it be more than a couple?
Yes.
Yes.
You do find that boys are verbally very, very able. However, when it does come down to writing, it's as though they've got some kind of writer's block, or maybe that they don't actually have the vocabulary or enough vocabulary to actually write. So we actually facilitate that.
Can I have some facts about where crocodiles live?
They're mainly in water.
Fantastic. What do they look like?
They got a very tough skin, and they got 30 to 40 teeth.
Fantastic. What happens to their teeth, Niaz?
They stick out.
They stick out, okay. What's a more technical word for that, Adil?
Protrude.
Protrudes, fantastic.
What you find is that they know what a piece of writing looks like, but they don't know how to put it together. So it's better that they actually unpack something and then put it together, and actually see that structuring process so that they can actually embed it in their own writing as well.
In order to actually get to the writing stage, we need to know how and which order that our paragraphs are going to go in. I've actually given you paragraph 1. Paragraph 1 is where they live. Which one do you think the next one might be? Arsalan.
What they look like.
What they look like, okay, fantastic. I'm not saying you're correct just yet. We're just going to put your ideas on paper.
We do plan all the time. We do have the modelling process, but I tend to do it slightly differently in that I get their ideas on the board, and then I break it up and I say, right, I think that one would be better if it goes at the beginning, and I get a general consensus before we move on to writing.
Yeah.
Their ancestors originally lived on land, but now they live mainly in water.
If I've already said water in this sentence, my next sentence also has water. Which word represents water in my second sentence?
River.
Rivers. Crocodiles also live in, right? Bit messy, but that just tells me that we're actually thinking about our writing.
Sometimes I do find punctuation hard, because when I'm writing a sentence and I finish the whole sentence but I didn't put any commas or full stops at the end, and then when the teacher's marking it, that's when I notice I forgot to put punctuation in it.
They often see punctuation as an afterthought, and so we'll go back and punctuate a piece once the writing's completed. Often this doesn't support the meaning of the writing. They need to be able to see that punctuation is about informing meaning within the writing, and its purpose is to do it at the point of writing.
They have 30 to 40 of these, but 2 can be seen. Do I breathe now?
No.
What's happened?
Yeah.
Yes. So what happens? Good.
Stop.
So what do I need after a full stop? Fabulous. All right.
Before, yeah, in year 7, I never knew how to like use punctuations and all of these things. Then when I started going to these LBUs, I started learning where to put them, and it made it much more easier for me.
Crocodiles have long and thin noses. When crocodiles close their mouths, their fourth tooth are protrude. They have 30 to 40 teeth, but only 2 can be seen. Crocodiles have a long and powerful tail.
Fantastic. Okay. Well done.
One of our teaching and learning priorities over the last 18 months is assessment for learning. But what we're really looking at this year is feedback for learning. That where the teacher has structured the targets to enable the students to know what to do to improve and how to improve, that they then have an opportunity to do the piece of work again or to do a similar piece of work again, so that they can actually show the teacher that the marking, comment and target is being used and is being applied.
I saw myself as not as a reader, because like everyone else could read, and it was like, because I didn't know how to read, I didn't really read a lot, like books and stuff.
Some of the barriers these pupils have is around the reading choices that they make. They often have very limited choices and tend to stick with a serial read. What these pupils need is support and guidance and advice to choose texts that will engage them, that will be at their interest levels, but will also challenge them and extend their reading repertoire.
Very good.
Put his empty glass.
Little Ilford focuses on pupil progression using a range of approaches, and their English results speak for themselves.
This is about embedding practice. This year's Year 9 SATS group were the first year group that had any form of intervention related to literacy. Now, we know that's had impact because actually of the level 3 students who had the LPUs and the reading and writing challenge, over 70% of those students converted to a level 5. So that's a 2 whole level increase. And actually I think it's because of that that we've managed to get our 55% A to C, of which 48% includes English and maths.
I do believe we should be challenging children to make 2 levels of progress in Key Stage 3. I know that it's going to be challenging with some children, but the point is that there are some schools that do that. And they're not schools in the leafy suburbs, they are schools that are working with challenging intakes. It can be done, and if some people can do it, we can all do it.
Writing challenge has really helped me a lot. Like going to writing challenge, putting my punctuation in the right places, that's like really helped me a lot. That's a big improvement on my level and on my writing as well.
When she kind of like praises you, that means you kind of get more happy, and you carry on with the work and finish it off and make it even better.